pissing.
I wasn't trying to get you.
Man.
But
Ooh.
I wasn't trying.
That's how you want to play, huh?
You know, it does sound much better. Yeah, I'll keep this.
That's awesome. You almost got.
Almost.
Oh, we got a mic test, though. Ready? We got a mic test.
It's me, Mike. There's a thing called the de-esser, which I think is supposed to stop that kind of noise
Good.
or limit the effect it has.
It is. It
That
does
kind
seem
of
to be
noise
working.
should be stopped
Yeah, it does seem to be
at all
working.
costs.
I do kind of want to just openly eat on the podcast. It'd be pretty funny.
Wow, that's a hot take.
Yeah, so the only the real ones, you know, if they could listen through me eating, then, you know, they can listen through anything. I got dice that look like cheese.
Wow, okay.
Is this why you came over?
No.
You wanted to tell us
No.
about your cheese
My
dice.
cheese dice.
That's
so
a Casey thing to do, and you brought that up.
it is, yeah. So Facebook had a targeted. I never look at fucking Facebook, and it had a targeted ad for me, and it was like, here's these dice, and each of they're polyhedrals, and they each look like fucking cheese, like Swiss cheese. They got little holes, and they look like little cheeses, and they even serve them. Serve them. They give them to you in like this box. They have a box
Get a
with
picture of
them.
them?
Yeah. You have them with you?
Yes, I'm gonna look it up, but it's like,
Oh, you're going to look it up? You don't have them with you?
I just ordered them like a couple hours
Oh,
ago.
so you order them so you don't actually have them.
No.
Yeah, so why?
But-
So you're
Hang on.
just telling us about something that you don't actually have,
That I-
but
that I
you've
have purchased.
supposedly purchased.
Yeah. Look,
right.
they're in this wooden container, and on the top, on the lid, they got like this seal, like it's actually like cheese, but it's not. It's like a fake little fun little seal. I don't know why I got it. Especially because I'm worried my identity got stolen. Because they were selling them for like $1, and they said like, and it said on the site like, "Hey, there's a big sale going on. Like, here's the sale." You know, I'm like, oh, well, it must be a sale, and they charge $9.99 for, like, the shipping.
You
So I
fell
figured
for
that's
the
where all
cheese
the-
dice sale?
I think I fell for a cheese dice
I
scam.
think you have weird sales. I mean,
I
there's
mean,
a website called Wish. It exists.
I was going to be, that. I mean, that's true. I thought about that, too, like, Wish-style stuff. So there's two outcomes from that. Well, okay. There's, like, what I was going to say was, well, if it's on Facebook, like, come on, like, it has to be real, right? And I realized that's what boomers think, and that's how, you know, that's why Facebook sucks so bad, and, you know, and so obviously I fucked up. But if I didn't fuck up and I do get dice and I open them, I'm expecting them to smell like, they still smell like the factory they were made in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, 'cause how do you get away with selling $1 cheese dice? If there's not a scam involved, or if it's not like there's questionable chemical byproducts being used.
All dice must go.
All dice must go. That's literally what it was like. Everything on their site was like $1.
How many
So-
things were on their site?
A lot. They seemed legit.
Probably
It's just,
fine.
well, I think it is like they have like a flash. Because think about it. When people sell dice, right? Like, the fact that you're paying $6 is bullshit. It took like 50 cents to make those fucking dice. They're little plastic molded things. So I imagine you might have a site like this. It's like, hey, we sell a bunch of novelty dice, and then for an hour every day, everything's like cut down, but we make up for it by making the shipping a little bit higher. So you're still
Yeah,
end
if
up
you
paying
pay
us a
$10
bit,
in
like-
shipping, that sounds more legit.
Yeah, it sounds pretty. It sounds like, you know, they got me in a capitalism sense, not in a scammer sense. But let me pull up the picture. Let me pull up the picture
You
of the
can
dice I
get a
might own.
graphics card on Wish.
Yeah, show me the picture of the
work.
cheese
You can-
dice you sold your soul for.
I'm looking for one, but I want to hear more about this graphics card from Wish.
I forgot what it looked. It was like
What?
3080 from Wish, and it ends up being obviously completely fake.
Wow.
But yeah, you can buy whatever you want. This is probably not real.
I wonder if it still works. Was it a graphics card that still worked and just wasn't a 3080, or was it just completely bogus?
I forgot. Now.
I think it is like something that's akin to just a card that's used in like basic processing units.
I think in the actual motherboard system, they renamed it 3080, but then I think, it was like not even close.
Oh, that's not good. Try to go to the store page and it says secure connection failed. Oh,
My supply house I go to
that's
says
exciting.
it doesn't have a secure connection. So some people just don't do that. I don't know why.
Oh, maybe it's just because I'm trying to try to use their email link to go to the order specifically. Maybe if I just went to the website.
It's gone. Website.
The website's gone.
Yeah, they got you.
I know you guys are. You went under, but can I still get those cheese dice?
What the hell are you going to
Yeah,
use the
cheese
cheese dice for?
What?
What's the scope that is a cheese dice appropriate
I just
for in
wanted
your
them-
game?
This is not good. Firefox is not even letting me go to the site.
You are now most cheesed.
I am most
It's probably
cheesed.
fine.
What, were you going to use them in a mouse guard game or something?
Mousetrap.
Wouldn't that be cute? But they're polyhedral. Mouse guarded would be D6s. So I guess maybe does Mouse Ritter use Into the Odd? I guess if I was gonna do something Mouse Guardy running Into the Odd, that would work.
Yeah.
That'd be really cute. Maybe if I actually get them now, I have to do that.
Yeah.
I should probably call my bank.
You could do track marks, but they go to a cheese factory.
Track mice.
Track mice.
Mice marks.
Nice mark me.
It's track marks, but it's cuter.
It would be cute. I like
You
that.
beat people and there's confetti that comes out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cute. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I am going to completely ignore all the extenuating circumstances around ordering these cheese dice and then just do something fun with them.
And-
Please shoehorn it into my setting.
And
I guess the
and
thing
they're
is-
not going out to collect the bag. They're going out to collect the cheese.
It's not Diesel Punk, it's Cheezel Punk.
It's Cheezel Punk.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Everything's cheese. It's track marks, so everything's cheese based now. You turn into a dragon, dude, because you ate too much cheese.
And how I would do it is say that you run it entirely cutesy and like adventurous, except for one scene, and you
Well,
make that as true to
except for
track
like,
marks
except
as
for like
possible,
combat,
and
like
it tears
people,
everything
people
up.
just get like executed.
Oh,
Like you're
yeah.
just like that scene in The Sopranos where Tony curb stomps that guy in the fucking barber shop and his teeth go scattering across the floor. It's gonna be like that out of nowhere. No music, just like I turn off the music and then describe
Yeah.
that, and then like talk about it's like yeah, and then you look up and you see the pictures of his 3 kids, and then it's like anyway, cheese. And you go back to the cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the plan.
I think a bigger.
I sort of wrote a story like that.
Go ahead.
No, you were speaking. Mine
You know,
was an
since you
aside.
guys are choosing-
Obviously,
Your
you have
aside-
a
Since
primary
Since you guys
point.
are choosing, I think Matt needs me to be a little louder.
I think the aside. I
I think the aside is beside the point.
think go ahead. What the heck were you talking about?
I,
I want to know.
I forget. I got way too invested in the back
what were
and
you gonna
forth
say,
dialogue.
Matt?
I was gonna
Before you
say,
forget.
why are you on Facebook now?
I've been on Facebook, kind of.
I know you have been.
You've been off it many other times,
have
been-
though, too.
You know, I know that people who follow me on social media. So I like went through this thing where it's just like fucking as corny as it sounds. Oh, that's a cute little table. I like that. As corny as it sounds, it's like I don't know. I was having a bit of an identity crisis, I guess, and it was like
now you'll have
and-
another one with this cheese dice.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no, I'm gonna. I will absolutely have an identity crisis, but that's the kind the government calls me about. That's not.
What if you lose your job? Oh, there's some cheese dice.
Oh my god.
Do not be bribed.
I don't think I what.
Don't be
Yeah.
bribed. We have your cheese.
We
We have your cheese
dice.
dice. You show up over here. You can give, and come along.
Next
Oh,
email
free
you're gonna
cheese
get
dice.
is the cheese dice has been caught in shipping. Everyone just has to pay another $20 to be able to get it out. We will give you 5 more cheese dice in addition to the amount of cheese dice that you bought.
Our company has gone down and we gone under, and we need a place to put the funds. We'll give you your cheese dice and $30,000, but you have to return $5,000 for processing fees.
In order to get the cheese dice out of our stock, we need to supplement with new stock. So we need your help to send us codes for Visa gift cards.
Yep, yeah.
Go to your nearest Walmart.
We need to put our funds into Visa gift cards. The only way into Target gift cards.
We need you to buy other dice, but not buy the dice. Just give us the money to buy those
If
dice.
we do this for you, if you send $10,000, we'll send you 30 more cheese dice.
30. Could you imagine that much cheese
Then
dice?
I would have enough D6s to play Mouse Guard.
And then at that point, you're like, this is a scam. And then they, boom, attach a picture. Pile of cheese dice. You're like, oh,
They send me
there
like,
it is.
They send me like a cheese wheel chest to put all the dice in.
Yeah.
I like this. Okay. Yeah, no, that's the reality I'm going to choose to believe until the IRS gives me a reason to think otherwise. Until Credit Karma sends me an email like, "Oh,
I've worked at a bank. It's not that bad.
yeah,
It's very
Cheese dice.
as long as you're
30,000 credits.
you know, I as long as you're like on top of it, you're fine.
Yeah.
You know, but it still sucks.
You just card information.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nothing.
Yeah, I just gave him card information and like, yeah, that's it. So I could just, if my card ended up getting hacked, I use my credit card all the time, so I would definitely know if there was charges that weren't mine, so I would just cancel it. But no, yeah, social media, Facebook. I feel better in the past like month or so than I have in actually like a very long time in a really good way. I feel like getting the blood back flowing, getting back to normal life and shit has helped a lot. But that was part of like, you know, I've been on and off of social media in all these different ways because it's like worried about like how do I want to present myself? Who am I? And I've kind of just figured it out and kind of, you know, as cheesy as it is, as cheesy as that sounds,
Wow.
you know.
I have to, for a month, I've been thinking about to rebrand myself, and now I got cheese dice. And now everything will be cheese
Yeah,
related.
everything will be. Yeah, this was actually me, like, fucking low key trying to break through with my new branding,
Yeah.
my new identity. It's all based around
Plug
scam,
and plover and
cheese.
cheese.
Plug and plover. Oh my god. At this point, if I actually get those cheese dice, the more we talk about it, the less I think I'm gonna get those.
Yeah,
But
I
if
think
I
you
do,
are.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna make something.
Make
through Plug and
a
Plover
three
just to use
make
them.
a 3-page stat block about molding cheese that turns into different like people,
Yeah, that's
and you have to
cool.
run a game through.
I'm not so much. There's a lot of itch.io like indie RPG creators I follow who do stuff like that. They're like, oh, I'm just gonna make this little tiny one-off thing about this. I
Yeah.
don't know if I have that in me, but this would probably be the first time I've been like, yup, this I need to make the cheese dice monster or something.
It would be fun. Just make it all cheese.
Inspired by real world events.
That's
to
how-
get the full lore, listen to the podcast.
That's how I've been writing Curb. It's just, how do I write this? Think stupid shit like the show. Boom.
Yeah.
Writes itself most of the time.
Dragmarks, I've got a fucking process that's now tried and true.
Yes.
I have a notebook. I actually brought it with me. I thought I was going to get here too early, but that wasn't the case. But, like, I literally am just, like, you know, I want to sit there with this fucking notebook and just jam shit out.
Yeah.
You know? Processes are good. And so is also just being like, what sounds cool? What's just cool? That's the thing. It does kind of come down to the end of the day. What sounds cool? What sounds like what I'm trying to do?
Rule of
All right, just put
cool.
that down.
Yeah.
That actually goes into a conversation that, like, there's I wrote this little article on like comparing classic D&D to modern D&D and how it feels different. And one of the big things is that, like, to be a dungeon master, you got like 3 pieces of graph paper. You took like 30 minutes to scroll up a dungeon, roll some dice, see what monsters were in there, and came up with a couple cool things, and then congratulations, you're a dungeon master. And that's a lot like harder now. Like, I think a lot of people don't want to be a dungeon master for modern games because it's like you feel like you're taking on this mantle, like this onus, like there's a lot of work. But it's like, it doesn't need to be that way. It could just be, what the fuck do I think is cool? Okay, now we're playing, now we're running, and we're going.
Yeah.
You know? It doesn't have to be for more than one game if you don't want it to be, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's a shame that, like, I think dungeon mastering has this reputation of being inaccessible, which I think is well earned with how complicated and intensive. Not only have games gotten more complicated, but like the expectations of what a game should look like have gotten more and more like crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I suppose so. What do you think, Matt?
What's this again?
Well, Matt, you're the one who says you've had the most problems, I think, DMing, I think. I remember we were talking about that in one
I guess
episode,
so,
you
yeah.
know? Like,
I mean, we're also just so busy. I myself do things based on needs.
right,
If we're playing 3 games a week, I don't feel like I need to do it.
right. Is there ever a time where you want to do it, but you just...
If there's a
needs
long
not there?
hiatus, yeah, I'll jump in. But, like, I don't feel like I need to. I can do something else.
Okay. I just guess, like, I wonder who all would DM more if it were just easier to jump into and maybe not as intimidating. And maybe designed to not be as intimidating.
People
Yeah.
you know, or what do you mean?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I guess people we know, it's like, or just people in general.
Yeah,
Because it does seem like there's this thing where it's like there's one DM for every like 50 fucking people or whatever, you know?
I mean, we were different because we all were DMing all different times, and I guess that's not what many people are doing. But I mean, I think you have the same, where like everyone you were with are like DM every once in a while.
That's true. I think everyone in my group has DM'd at some point, some more than others.
Which is just natural.
It is just natural.
But that's what we had, and then we heard other people, and they're like, "Yeah, this is one guy who does it all the time." Like,
well, yeah.
Why? Because
Right.
one person burns out, like Casey burned out for like a year, and then I did my adventure for a year. That's what I did.
What part of what exhibit are you referencing to in evidence?
That was after.
I like how he immediately like straightened up and took fucking offense to that. Like
You did. You were taking a break.
I forget when that was.
Yeah, and then after I did it for a while, then you wanted to DM again, and you did Ravenloft after that.
Yeah, I guess so. That's true.
Man, that makes Ravenloft even more important in the onus.
Yeah, he took a long break
combat
before that.
game, you know,
Or
in
the
onus of the lore, you know.
Yeah, no, he took a long break, and that's when I DM'd for a while, and then I just didn't have much ideas, and then he took over again.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I've definitely burned out. I've definitely been. My burnout's been different because I've been in a like. It's not like, oh, I've burned out. I flew too close to the sun, and now I'm soaring down to the ocean.
No, it's like you implode and then explode.
Oh no, it's more like there's a little bit of structural instability, so I'm just slowly drifting to the ground, but it's a little prolonged and slow, you know, and I see the ground coming the entire time.
That's
like
way worse.
It's way worse.
That's way worse.
It's way fucking worse. Burnout happens to everybody. You know, I think the forever DM, huh?
Thanks.
Yeah. What? Yeah. No, you're welcome. I guess. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Go ahead. What are you saying?
Like, thanks for me saving your ass. Is that what
No,
you're
I don't
saying?
know.
You see about it because our groups are different. Our groups are special in that, you know, everyone has DM'd and we all like relatively, you know, like carry the weight pretty evenly. But like you guys were saying, like a guy that you met at your job who was like, oh yeah, I've only ever played this. We only play it once a month, and it's this guy who always does it. Or you see online where people are like, you know, oh, I'm a forever GM. I run for like literally everyone all the time, and it's like I just can't empathize with that as well. But I know it's a problem. I know it's a problem that DMing is inaccessible and intensive enough that it needs to return to a point where it was as easy as getting a pencil, a sheet of graph paper, and over your lunch break, and now you have a campaign. You know what I mean? I like that. I like that a lot.
I mean, I think also there's a lot of time players just want to do the same thing, and having someone else try their thing, it is like personally hard, but like I think sometimes the players aren't super open to it.
I think a major thing is we also grew up playing in the 4th edition and 3rd edition eras where you had tons of basic modules. So you'd have a module come out and it'd be like, hey, I haven't DM'd yet. I read this module. I'm interested. I want to run it. And we all go, cool, let's roll up new characters. Yeah. And at that time, we weren't like, let's make characters that fit the story or that fit whatever the themes are. We're just like, everyone make cool characters, whatever you want to do, and pop in and just see what happens.
I never ran a pre-written module until Out of the Abyss.
Ooh, wow.
I've read them, but I've never run pre-written stuff. So I don't have that same experience.
Well, it's like Dragon Magazine was you just have like you slap it together like Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Well, now you just get the books and you wait 6 months for a book.
Yeah.
But like
yes.
When Dragon Magazine was this thing, we had a friend who had a subscription to it.
Uh-huh.
And I remember when he got it, he posted it, and then I went to download whatever I could. And I think we all ran something at one point from it, or just took a lot of inspiration from it. I did one modular, and that's when it was a haunted house, and I did it to my birthday, and then that's when Casey had a knife that killed fogs somehow. He's like, I'm now gonna get away, and the monster house is specifically made to have pipes, so he jumps to the next room, and Casey's like, oh, really? Stab.
What do you mean? I had a knife that's specifically built
Ghost
for like
knife.
cutting goats.
Yeah.
So I was like, reaction, and I got him.
I like that because it's literally like cutting the tension with a knife.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think he got it though because I told him how part of what I was going to do with the adventure. So he got it just for that adventure, which was annoying. You did. You said Matt, you said something about vampires. I'm like, I guess. And then you're like, well, I got this knife. I'm like, what the? And then you're like, stab the main villain of that specific module. And then it's like, what do you do now? Oh, he's my bitch now. I was like, okay.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was the one thing is I stab him and then used an encounter power to have him dominated.
You did.
Yep. That's cool.
Yep. But that was, and then I had other ones which I never some I never finished with Casey and Ben with like the Tears of Ioun one. It was like it's like Lovecraftian horror, and there was 3 tiers of it, and they got to like the second tier.
Man,
It was
4th
really
edition
cool.
Dragon and Dungeon were really good, weren't they?
I missed
remember
that
them
a
being
lot.
good.
But I know Pathfinder's kind of taken to the helm a little bit, like you said. But
They have.
I haven't gotten into their stuff at all.
Like Pathfinder 2 is great. It's just, I think a thing is yes, pre-made adventures are great because you can have people drop in and out. There's not really that much of like there's not that much of a you don't feel as bad if you completely skip something or completely fuck something up because it's like, who cares? Somebody else wrote it. This is not my problem. I can just cross all that stuff out and figure it out. But at the same time, a lot of them are written in a way that, and I don't think this is really avoidable. I think for the most part, if you have a good module, it's written to be run in a certain way. You can't really write it with every playstyle in mind.
They're very short, yes.
Well, I mean, there's even adventure paths, even long ones. There comes a point where, I mean, in the Star Trek stuff, right, Casey, where it's like, in order to make all these adventures a campaign, you have to do the legwork to stitch all of them together.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, even if you're running an adventure path, it's like, well, and here's the problem with adventure paths too. It's like, okay, well, let's say we're running like 1 or 2 pre-made modules, jump in, jump out. That's fine, cool. Well, what if we want something longer? What if we want something more substantive? Well, now we got to start stitching these together, and I don't want to do that, so I'm going to run an adventure path. Cool. But now an adventure path, now you're really limited in scope, because if you're not hitting these certain markers, you're just not going to be progressing in the right way, and then you really have to get under the fucking hood on those things. And, it's like, and at the same time, too, with adventure paths, everybody's got to show up.
Yeah.
It has to be the same party throughout the whole thing. I guess what I'm saying is it's like, I like the comparison to D&D night just being like a poker night. Like, it doesn't really matter who shows up. It doesn't really matter. It's not that hard to pick up. There's not as much of a continuity expectation. We come, we throw dice, we have a good time, and then hang out and then go home.
But I would argue that's what helped DMs was it's pre-written. You want to do another adventure that's completely different. You could slowly get out of your comfort zone and start getting more into more improv stuff by stitching them together, because you're doing less legwork.
That is true.
It's already done. It's already done, and that's how you start getting better. Is you slowly get out of your comfort zone. Where hey, I'm using 2 like cases all the time. Is I'm using stuff that's pre-written, and I'm going to make whatever I want with it. But because the outline's there, I can change it however I want to do.
All I do is take a hard look, have a session where I take a look at the pre-written stuff, find what they're referencing. They don't ever build on it enough, typically, for what players want to do for exploring. So then I simply go through wikis, research up every other reference that it has, things that are related, things that happened in that timeline in history. Yeah, exactly. And then I can determine exactly how I want to spin my threat.
Yeah. So, I mean,
and build up the other half of the adventure.
You're basically stealing from a bunch of pre-written stuff, even if it's not game related.
Yeah.
You're also stealing from like history and like I know for me, when I'm running games that have historical context, Wikipedia is just a fucking gold mine. Yeah. Sometimes I'll just hit that random article button and just get ideas, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I like it for the references it has more than what's even written. It's where it got its information.
Yeah, I wonder that is a really good point. I guess maybe I've never found pre-made content that I found compelling enough to want to do that. To want to be like
research into.
There's a lot of
to research or to even invest in enough to be like, okay, because you're totally right. It's like, oh, if I have this outline, all of this is already done for me, and I can just kind of go on top.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's actually, now that I'm talking about it, I don't know whether it's me not finding things that compel me enough to do that with, or if it's me having some weird hang up of it's got to be original, which I know a lot of DMs actually do have that hang up. There's kind of this weird obsession with originality, like in the sense that if it's not yours, then it's not like authentic. And then at the same time, if you're running something that's pre-made and you're not running completely to that standard, then it's like unfair.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just a nature of the medium. Like, if you are given a book and the book is saying how to run it, which it needs to if it's a good module, then you're immediately going to think, oh, well, it's telling me to do it, so I have to do it. But then if you don't have one and the rule book is telling you, hey, you can make whatever world you want and do all this crazy stuff, it's like, well, shit, I got to make a world then.
I don't think we've ever had the impression, at least in our group, that the modules were always the text you have to run. It always was something loose.
Yeah.
That we could always add to it. We
I
never thought about it as strict in any form.
I think most modules, though, are. So what's funny is they better fucking be. If I'm going to be running a pre-written adventure, I'm going to spend money to run something pre-made, even if I fuck it all up, it better be a complete package A to Z.
True.
I should technically be able to run that thing as the book tells me to, exactly from front to back. Right. I'm not going to do that, but that adds this continuity, this through line where it's like, oh, if something messes up, I know how that affects things further on down the line, right? I know what I could pull in. Because I remember you talking about, again, to bring it back to Star Trek, those adventures you've been running are frustratingly sparse.
Yeah, there's usually a real strong,
tone.
A plot, almost nothing in B plot.
God, that's so weird.
Yeah.
And that makes it so difficult. I think the mega dungeon is just a great setting in general, because when you have a giant fucking mega dungeon, you can just go into it and you usually don't have to worry about a lot of this. It's like when you just have all these rooms in isolation, you can kind of just figure out how they all connect, and based on what players do, and you can either treat each room in a vacuum as you want or pull in stuff from other rooms, and then it kind of logically repopulates. Like, I got the 5th edition conversion of Temple of Elemental Evil, and I still want to run it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still trying to figure out how to make it an open table, so that I can kind of run with whoever shows up. Just because I want to show, I want to bring that style of play to more people, to show that it doesn't have to be this grand sweeping narrative that's painted A to Z. It doesn't have to be this custom setting that you've completely done everything about. It can literally just be something we show up and play, and it's fine. It's Gucci. There's nothing. It's easy.
But I would argue about the earlier thing with the modules is there's only so much you can plan for the players themselves.
Yeah.
Because yes, you do have an A and a B, but if you're strict with A to B into the extreme case, then what's the point of playing?
Yeah. Yep.
So you still, with any module, no matter how well it's written, you still have to do the in-between.
Yes, you do still have to do the in-between, but a module that is very comprehensive helps. I think it's easier to do the in-between.
Right.
I just think it's also, on this end, on the same token, easier to fall into the trap of running it like it's telling you to run it. And I think Casey's done a very good job of mastering, like, taking the pre-written content.
Yeah, I sabotage it from the beginning.
Yeah, he doesn't take it.
Interesting.
That's what I'm saying. He outlines it's mostly an outline of how the tone and everything is supposed to feel.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he takes what he wants.
I like the idea of, so sabotaging it from the beginning.
Yeah.
Do you mean that you basically, like, okay, I'm going to, let's say I'm going to, like, here's a hypothetical. It's like, all right, I have this module and I am going to, quote unquote, run it as is.
Yeah.
However, I'm going to introduce an element at the very beginning that will make that impossible.
Yeah.
And I like that.
Because basically, when you're running a module, it's static. Whatever it's saying, whatever it has pre-built, it's awesome when you're playing a module as a player, because there's a reliability of, if you need to check a corner or look for something or whatnot, it's gonna be there.
It's written.
Right.
That it's immersive in a player agency sort of sense.
Uh-huh.
Which is exactly what your old school dungeon building does too. Is immediately players are stepping into a place, they get to know what's in front of them, what's around them, what they can do. But by just having that, for most modules that I find it's very static. It's simply, you have these players, and then you have this module. You have this situation, event, or whatever the focus of the module is. And the only thing that's happening is these players being introduced to it. That's pretty common in a manner. If you think about it, the main cause of problems in fantasy or sci-fi is adventurers existing most of the time.
Right.
It's whoever the protagonists are. If they weren't really a part of it, things would be pretty bad. But they'd kind of just fall into some sort of order quite quickly.
And you can't. It's funny because it's like most of these modules. Think about that. It's like yes, the fact that adventurers are coming up and doing this is going to cause things to change. Is going to mess things up. But technically, it's not, because nothing's changing, because the module is already written in a way that's assuming the players are going to come mess it up. Mm-hmm. It kind of goes back to the argument about that we were talking about where a couple episodes back, I think it was, where years at this point.
Yeah.
Where it was like rulebooks don't do a good enough job explaining how to play.
Yeah.
I think modules don't do a good enough job explaining how they're supposed to be used.
Yeah,
Again,
definitely.
I think a good module should be static. It should make assumptions about how things are done, because how else are you going to write a 300-page book that's a complete open sandbox? You can't. They tried that with Storm King's Thunders. Fucking dog shit. Like, no, I'm not looking at that. But, like, for example, what I want to do for Temple of Elemental Evil, because when you said that, it resonated with me, because I'm like, oh shit, I thought of something for doing that. I want it to be like the Zentarum.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was the element, the Tlevel. It's not going to be in Greyhawk. I'm not going to deal with the Greyhawk lore or anything like that. Yeah. But it's like, it's in a vacuum. And the Zentarum are like, hey, there's this podunk town in buttfuck nowhere with a dungeon with a bunch of evil shit in it. We like evil shit. So take the evil shit out of the dungeon and make it ours.
Yeah. So
one of the examples being, I would make it kind of like gold for XP. But one of the examples would be the only time you ever get XP for like encounters is if you like recruit them. So instead of fighting the bugbears in the dungeon, you recruit them and bring them back to Hamlet.
Yeah.
And they start up this fucked up bugbear gang. And eventually the town of Hamlet is just this evil Zentarum shithole. And that completely destabilizes the module, because the module assumes adventurers go in there, destroy the evil, whatever. But in my read of dungeons, which is this kind of like evil pocket dimension that self-perpetuates, Zentarum, who are evil, comically so, are like, oh, cool, we need to just farm this self-replicating evil entity to produce as much evil for the cause as humanly possible.
Yeah, so, I mean, what you've done is change the framing device. And changing the framing device is one of the strongest things that you can do in any sort of narrative, and especially in games. Instead of having it simply be the Temple of Elemental Evil, and you have players against it. You have adventurers versus the module, this 2D static setup.
Yeah.
You add a tertiary element. You zoom out to another picture. The Zentarum in this case.
Yeah.
Who their involvement... My thing is, players, when they're entering into a module, they don't have any knowledge about how the module is going to work. Yep. In that same respect, that module should be played reliably as though it doesn't have an awareness or perfect awareness of the players themselves.
Right.
That, I think, is best done a lot of times when I'm researching into the types of NPCs that the module is deciding to focus on. Whoever it's talking about who's important. Trying to focus on the small things that it might mention for characteristics or like the things that they spend their time doing.
Oh, so even trying to invert prioritizations within the module, saying like, this character is super important, I don't give a shit about anymore. This character who's mentioned once, I care about him all of a sudden.
Because you add a tertiary element. In this case, you can add it on the front end. So you have the Zentarum changing the entire dynamics about how your players are playing adventures going against this dungeon.
Right.
That framing device completely changes how the mission is going to happen.
Well, it's like I've been reading a lot of Dune, so I just finished Children of Dune. So it's like they talk a lot about tensions, about how creating tensions, about having these opposites create. So it's like, by running this module intentionally in the opposite way it's intended, gives me a lot of content.
Yes.
Just by looking at it and being like, okay, yeah, but what if not, though?
This is how it was supposed to be run. This is where it's at now. Where the truth of how it's going to happen is somewhere in between there, almost always.
I like that a lot.
Any Star Trek module, I have added a completely tertiary element to.
You have, out of necessity, but also
ask me any of the missions. I could tell you what I added, what wasn't part of the actual module.
And you'll
So
say
what
it
about
changed.
the what's the tertiary element you added to the one with the fucking parasite?
Parasite.
Yeah, the first time when we went in full hazmat.
The Xenomorph
Making
form.
that a specific secret mission made by Deep Space Nine and sending you along with the Romulan issue that what was happening.
I think I remember.
It was the invisible. It was the invisible Romulan.
I think I remember you mentioning the Romulan was completely off the cuff. Well,
Yeah.
not off the cuff, but it was you.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. I
Yeah.
caught on. I'm big brain.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. Yeah, that definitely changes a lot, and it's like
Next.
I think any of the reasons between the missions is probably you. I don't really assume it's not.
Between the missions had to be him.
Yeah, there's some sessions where it's just between stuff.
Which means the setup and stuff had to be him. So I knew the Deep Space Nine stuff was him, but I didn't know the Romulan was. I thought the Romulan was as written.
Nope,
Oh,
Romulan
really?
was added.
Yeah.
No, it felt forced.
What'd you add in?
Romulan was actually introduced from how you handled Thelema at the end.
Yep.
I was about to ask what was the big one about Thelema.
Well,
They didn't flesh out like
the
one of the sides at all.
Thelema. It was it was everything having to do with the upper level. That's all. That was all to my own design. And then also the exact how the arena fight happened and the stakes that were involved with it at the end. How the module was written. If you got shot and died, you should have just died.
You know what I think
Right.
is
Yep. That makes sense.
You know what I think is really important now that I'm thinking about this, because like if you had to fill in all the arena stuff, you were obviously having to pull from different movies and stuff or different media where you've seen like let's assume, for example, you're like, oh, I have to run an arena thing, it's not giving me examples. How about fucking Gladiator?
Yep.
You know,
Gladiator.
Let's just pull from that.
Several gladiators type scenes that are in Voyager, that are in Next Gen and original series Star Trek.
Well, what I was gonna ask is so I brought up. Oh, excuse me. Fuck. With I think Patrick earlier, which is that it's like, how much pop culture it references there are when you're DMing. Like I find it, I will explain entire things, like just basically being like, it's like this but this, or pull a whole plot element from a movie or a show I've seen, to the point where it's funny now that D&D is becoming more of a pop culture, is now like a big pop culture thing nowadays.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you need to have kind of a finger on pop culture in order to run a compelling story or to fill in the blanks. You need to consume a lot of media in order to run stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
I think that's important. I think consuming ideas, being exposed and immersed in whatever you're interested in, whatever you're trying to utilize, is very important.
Immersion in interests, I do like that.
The jungle planet in our in the newest Star Trek episode, with how windy and everything it was, and all of the like spore particles and stuff in the air. That's all because I watched Legend like a couple days beforehand.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And Legend has an extremely Fey-like quality to how they did the forests and everything.
That's cool. As fuck.
But the rap battle was to the book.
Rap battle.
It was to the book as you had it.
In Thelema, the rap battle.
It was to the book.
That was definitely part of the module.
It was definitely
that wasn't just you putting 8 Mile in fucking
no,
Star Trek.
No,
it was part of the book. Very important part.
No, I completely made that up.
Nope.
That and the point
You
of
did
that
not finish your
is
adventure.
the point of that is I think one of the best things for doing in a game is completely changing the expectations and the level of what players are doing. Just completely throwing in a random element, like in one of the newest episode sessions that I ran. I had them literally play Simon Says with color pattern recognition.
Simon Says.
That's cool, yeah.
And they immediately were brought into a dungeon. I'm describing these things, and then all I did was describe the room, and then go, boop, and have one of them light up.
Hell yeah.
And they're like, huh? And like, eventually one of them took a shot, and as soon as it went, boop, boop, and it hit that second one, they're like, oh, okay. And it was familiar.
Yeah.
It was something completely different than the expectations for how you would be playing in a game. So for Star Trek, getting in a rap battle with a Klingon and Ferengi, that's
by the book.
That's unexpected.
It's unexpected. It's really fucking cool. I think, oh man, I have so many thoughts going through my head now. The first one was that I feel like when you are interpreting published modules like you're talking about, on one hand, we're talking about the tension that you add that creates the content. I also think no two people will run that module differently because you have to pull from that media background. The media that you consume would completely influence how you run. How I ran Out of the Abyss is I'm certain completely different from how other people ran Out of the Abyss, based entirely on the media that I consumed. The fact that you know, I mean, this is an example. This is a light example because everyone knows what Simon Says is for the most part. But the fact you put Simon Says in there and then everybody caught on to it, but it was like a cool puzzle moment that you don't see many. Cool
I told
puzzle
not
moments
to do
like
it.
that
I thought. I mean, the way he did it made it easy, but I was worried that it wasn't gonna make sense.
I would be worried too.
But if you made it like,
I thought
perfect.
I was worried, but then I just kept thinking. It's so funny. It's worth it.
well, I think
Because I just kept thinking of me being up there and just going, everything goes silent and going.
well, I think it was funny, but I think the idea is that you dumbed it down so they weren't literally playing Simon Says.
Yeah, because it's still
Then it's fine.
Because it's
But
still
if they were, I would be like, no.
What that relegated to was hitting the different things required, different skill checks, acrobatics or athletics or whatnot to get up,
translated
or
to D&D.
attack rolls.
Yeah.
And basically, I had it so that every as the pattern continued, the DC just got more difficult, up to a max of like 16.
Yeah.
So it started at 8. It was very simple to get the first few, and then as you started getting them all, gets up to 16.
You know, this actually leads to the other thing I was going to say. I was running track marks, and I ran a trap that was like basically the whole session was based on a single trap. And I randomized it using the Tome of Adventure design, and I just basically improvised the trap. And I did what made Estrato Zero so successful, which I think is another way to generate content, which is making shit up and explaining it later.
Mm-hmm.
Because literally it's like I was saying this trap was doing things and things were just happening and I didn't have a ready explanation for it. So I had to wait for players to ask questions, to do other things to add on to the explanation, and eventually it created this really bizarre pocket dimension with its own rules.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have existed that way if I didn't just say something cryptic or bizarre and then just kind of let it hang there until I figured something out.
Yeah.
Like this weird, it's kind of like literally painting yourself into a corner.
Yeah,
and
no,
that's what I'm
forcing you to
saying.
act.
You really are,
That's the super fun part. When someone's like, okay, go up to this door. All right, I'm gonna check if it's trapped. Okay, it seems like this just regular like big heavy wooden door. Okay, yeah, you succeeded. It says it's trapped, and it says it's another like spike trap. That's fucking boring.
Yeah.
What was your investigation? 22? Okay, so you can hear ticking in the door. And you're actually able to find that there's like a section in the wood where you slide it open and there's all this clockwork and everything inside.
Right.
And you can actually see that like the main way of turning off this mechanism is past all these twisting gears.
And then it's like
boom. Suddenly that door's way more impactful.
It's so
way more
cool.
fun. It's inviting a player to like go ahead and try it.
It's so rad.
Do something
and
that you didn't expect to do today.
I feel like 100%. And it's funny because then it's like, oh, we activate the gears and stuff, and then you're like, haha, something happened somewhere. And they're like, did it? And you're just like, I don't fucking know what it is.
Yeah,
but I'll
yeah.
figure it out later. I feel like it's funny because I feel like that is cheating a bit, but it's not a cheating that the players will ever notice. So is it really cheating?
I don't think it's cheating
You
if
know?
it's to open up opportunity to their appreciation.
Agreed. I agree. I completely agree.
If it's gonna make the game more fun, give like in that case, that's when a thief would really be able to shine. Is
Right.
they were able to deal with that wacky, wild freaking door.
That's true. I feel more comfortable doing something like that in Delta Green because the players already know my character's fucked.
Yeah.
One way or another, it's inevitable. So you kind of have an excuse to do those things and fuck up. Like,
Yeah.
if you do that thing and it doesn't end up being to their appreciation, it'll still be cool.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
You know,
Like,
so the main thing that every time that you ran World of Darkness games, what was great about it is it felt pretty similar to how you run D&D. Your character is a mortal. They are useless in comparison to everything that I have outlined that is happening around you, or that I haven't. I've just made you aware. And the entire game seemed to be, how close can you get? And that seemed almost, especially with you as a dungeon master, it seemed like on your side, how close can I get them as deep into the underworld of how this is working before people are pinched off and killed and twisted and things fall back into chaos.
It is a beautiful.
Really, the game
cool
becomes
3-act structure.
not oh, can you survive and can you win? It's how far can you get before your viewpoint is gone.
I completely fucking that's a cool observation. I've never seen that about my own stuff, but it is a really cool 3-act structure and kind of what I'm trying to do. That's the thing that I end up doing, I think, which is cool. What I'm trying to do is put these characters through a horrific situation. They're not going to be the same coming out of the end. Yeah. So to tack onto that, it's like get as close as possible to understanding. And if you do understand, if by that slim chance you get out the end and you understand, you were changed forever. You can never go back to the person you were.
And the times where you then have twisted players and then just be suddenly the person that you were playing, you're not playing them anymore because of the things that you found out and where you're at and who's around you.
Yeah.
The scenes that you then set up for them, it's horrible. It's abominable. It is an amazing reward.
Yeah, I think
I have only ever seen, once that happens to players in your games, them having fun, having their character just torn to bits.
Yeah.
Holy shit, yeah. Man, you're totally right. The best games I've ever run were in like World of Darkness and Delta Green, which Delta Green is just World of Darkness. It's just percentile based. That's all. That's the only difference. But I've never really, I guess, thought of it from. I've only looked at it from my perspective. I don't think I haven't heard these perspectives on me running those games before, and it's giving me this like memory of like why those games were so good, why Blue Mountain was so good, why Estrada Zero was so good.
Blue Mountain was everything.
Blue Mountain
it was like
kicked ass.
I'm playing a character that has absolutely nothing going on, and his only vulnerability is his grandma, and you're like, welcome to Grandma Town. And I was like, oh no, I was not ready for any of this.
We're Grandma's gonna have a rough go of it. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I'm sorry, you told me something's important to your character. That was a bad idea. Why'd you do that? But that's the thing is I think that's a big thing about horror and why horror RPGs work so well. Because I've read, and it might be in a ton of green text stuff like that. I don't know how realistic this is. I've encountered a bit of it, but it's like you have all these people who want to win so badly, even whether they'll admit it or not. And when stuff goes bad for their character, I would say this is especially true in D&D because D&D is kind of like a pass-fail sort of system when run straight. But when you tell the players at the very beginning, you are going to fail, that takes such a huge load off. Because now the question isn't whether I'm going to win. The question is, what can I do?
Yeah.
What can I find? You know, like how close can I, and especially if they know that I'm basically improvising it, they're like, how far can we fucking push this until my character snaps in two?
Yeah.
And now has changed the game forever. You know, like, oh man, this is making me want to run. Making me want to run some World of Darkness again. It's so good,
Delta
man.
Green. You could just do a Delta Green.
I could also do Delta Green. I do need to run a lot of Delta Green. They are also. That's something else I was going to say about the kind of making stuff up as you go. What's nice about Delta Green is you have all these weird skills. So World of Darkness tends to be pretty broad, and then you have these specializations, which they're kind of hit or miss, whatever.
Yeah.
But with Delta Green, it's like you could be that one dude with the art history skill. But if you're improvising it, you know, if you're just running it straight, I'm never going to fucking call for art history. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
But if somebody's like, I'm going to use my art history to learn about this, now all of a sudden that's a vector that you would never get into. You could do it with World of Darkness, but it's way easier with Delta Green.
That's actually why I've appreciated more wacky design from characters, from players. Because typically, if it's done in a manner that's not trying to just cheese the system, or just obviously be conflicting with the motives of the actual party, by adding in just some random element, by adding in a talking skeleton who's actually alive, who thinks he's a gardener, into the mix of things, it suddenly goes, all right, well, we've got the ranger. We know what he's doing. He's foraging. He's hunting down his targets and stuff. He's keeping an eye out with perception. The wizard's like learning his spells. You're the wild element. What are you wanting to do? And by having a wild element, or even just like, I mean, that's ultimately, I think, what the importance of a backstory really was.
Mm-hmm.
It was giving a space for players to go come up with some other thing that's outside of the expectation of this, present it to me, and see if that engenders any completely new idea of how we could twist a storyline or add arcs into a campaign before it starts. And then the meme about backstories being 10 pages and everything became horrible, because that is all useless.
Yes. It should be useful, if anything.
You really need a backstory, if anything, should just, if it had to be limited down to its smallest scope, it should be a list of questions.
It should be a list of beliefs.
Yeah.
It should be the way, or aspirations. The way aspirations are in Chronicles of Darkness. That's if you can't boil down your character's backstory to those 3 aspirations, the 3 things your character wants, I don't care. The rest of it's useless. I mean, there might be some, and then some background elements, like if it's like, oh, I want to make sure my grandma's taken care of.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden, that's a big part of the story.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing, right? Is that like, it's weird to like come to the table with like, oh, I'm expecting you to use all this. It's like, how? It's not in a usable state.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to be usable. It needs to be gameable.
Look it up. You brought up your own villain and then killed him before you became an adventurer. What am I supposed to do there?
Yeah.
You wrote 4 pages on this.
Right. The background, your character is who they are once the dice starts hitting the table.
Yeah.
That's the most important stuff. Like up until that point, it's like, you know, your character, that's the other thing about games like this, because it's like, to go back to World of Darkness stuff, I mean, and like my media background, my favorite movie's Green Room.
Yeah.
Like fucking, I love like True Detective. I love like putting these characters like through the fucking ringer, you know, and shit like that. You aren't special until you have become special. You are not important until your character is now that we are making a sheet for them. Up until that point, they were just some punk musician or some cop in Louisiana. But now, as of right now, they are now a main character.
Who is a punk musician cop out of Louisiana.
Out of Louisiana. The tensions between the two. Oh, God. That sounds not great.
Why are you late for your shift again? Is that eyeshadow on your face? No.
Eyeshadow.
What are you, a punk?
Eyeshadow.
No, officer, I'm not. Not yet.
This makes no fun. This has got big Axe Cop vibes. This makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Next
question.
Fuck, I don't know. I don't know. I'm thinking a lot now. The new edition of Hunter is coming out.
Oh.
And I was thinking of grabbing it, but I read the preview chapter. I'm kind of like, I like how Vampire 5th Edition simplified the storyteller system a lot. One of my favorite things they do that people I know really, really like is 3 and Done, which is when combat goes for 3 rounds. Oh.
He does this.
Do it again.
He does it.
And you're eating. Oh. Well, now what if you fucking sneeze again? Now it's gonna fucking spur. It's gonna be aerosolized veggie straw
straight to you.
everywhere.
He's angled towards you.
Yeah, he's gonna. Yeah, fuck you. It's gonna be this cannon of just fucking.
Yep.
What was I fucking? After the 3rd round of combat ends, you are supposed to just determine who won based on the outcome. If you really need to, you can keep going another round, but at the end of each of those rounds, you try and decide if there's a clear winner or not. Just this emphasis that it's like, we're not going to be in this combat forever. Usually by the time you're partway through a combat, it's pretty clear who won or not. Yeah. And then just go from there.
Yeah, 5th is like after the 2nd round, you know. Even the 1st round, you know how it's all going to go.
a lot of times, unless there's twists getting thrown in, but like, I feel that encourages people to like, get everything out in front. I've noticed that a lot during like when I play board games and stuff like that. We'll play Dune, and it's way too long of a game. He's trying to avoid chewing in the mic. He's going through some incredible gymnastics to do that. But it's like we'll play. You're not. You gotta go further. It's like we'll play Dune, and we won't have enough time to finish it, right? We won't have time to finish the game. Yeah. But then we can kind of just talk through like, oh, well, I was going to do this and I had this. Oh, well, then you would have been able to do this and this, and you would have gone next, so this and this. And then you just kind of intuit a winner. You kind of just figure it out from there. And I kind of like doing that with RPGs just so you don't get, because usually most important combats are going to be resolved in 3 or 4 rounds. If you're moving into round 7, it's like, dude, is this even like important anymore? Like we're just at basic attacks now, like that's it.
Yeah. I was going to mention. You saw what just came out today?
What?
Dune Spice Wars on Steam.
Oh yeah.
The beta just dropped.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Or the pre-release, not beta. That's what you used to call it. Now it's whatever it's called now.
I just have is it in like alpha where you can like play it while it's being developed or whatever? Okay. Yep. Man, I don't have time. I would love. I do not have time to get into 4X games like I used to.
Was it a 4X Spice War? I had to look at it again.
Yeah,
I guess it was.
It's like Paradox Interactive type shit.
It's 4 times the game.
True.
4 times the game.
It's a lot of games.
It's too much.
0
game.
of it.
You should really play Hella Loose instead.
Oh yeah. He's advocating that.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Not Immortal
I see
anymore. It's Hella Loose.
Yeah. Hella Loose.
Immortal 2. God.
The only thing I've played recently is Project Zomboid, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I just can't justify it. It's I play a lot of Jackbox when friends are over and shit.
Did you? I always thought you were iffy about that.
That's not really a game.
Jackbox.
That's more of an obligation.
An obligation.
Casey always has his phone 0 when he wants to play the game.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
He manages always to have a phone that's like 0 battery.
I actually bought extra charging cables just for that because we had people who also would. I
use my phone 24/7, but
Same. Yeah.
I'm with these people where they have 0% on their phone because they're memeing all day.
Okay. Speaking of games, there's something I need to bring up to your attention.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah.
They just added a card game.
Like,
you gotta be
Gwent?
fucking kidding
There's
me.
a card game.
Oh, for Blackwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, the expansion, that's true.
And the card game is basically a slightly more complex Dominion.
Ooh, you have my attention again.
Yeah, but the thing is, everyone's pissed because apparently the game's not doing well in terms of any sort of balance.
They never like the expansions.
And so people are asking, they're begging, like, when are you going to balance things? When are you going to add things that, like, can actually bring PvP and make, like, the game playable again? And then they're like, here's a card game for you. You can play Dominion.
Nice.
You know what's interesting to me about
But
that,
it
though?
does look cool.
It sounds
because
cool.
I'm already bored with the game. So maybe going back just to then go in with my character and play a different game in the game.
I was going to say it's very interesting adding a comprehensive card game like that to an MMO because you could ostensibly just play the MMO just to play the card game.
It's also really weird because they already owned the rights to Elder Scrolls Legends, which is a card game.
That's true. That's very true.
So they could have like just ported that into it or something.
I wonder
Or,
if
like,
you need to be
build-
playing Legends. You can't port it.
I wonder if they probably couldn't because it was already licensed out to whatever company made that card game.
Oh, you're true. Almost certainly.
Maybe.
Yeah, so it's like
Almost certainly.
at that point it would be like voiding a contract or
But
just,
but the game they made is literally Dominions.
I fucking love
I didn't see the
Dominion.
reviews of that. I looked at Blackwood and people hate it like it normally does. They're like, it's more expensive than it ever needs to be. That's all I saw.
That sucks. I play board games a lot though. I play board games a ton with friends and stuff like that. And Dominion's great. And with Nate, he's in Germany. We play Dominion online because there's an API for Dominion. There's also an API for Dune, so you can play the Dune board game, like the good
really?
one online. Yeah.
Huh. Now you can play Spice Wars.
Huh?
Now you can play Spice Wars.
It's like Mom, I want to play Spice Wars. We have Spice Wars at home. Spice Wars at home. The Gale Force 9 Dune re-release of the board game on an online API.
Wow. Yep.
Dune at home. Man. Blast from the past. Some fucking World of Darkness, ain't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Tomahawk.
Trying to
Mine's
run
all
Geist
spinning.
3 separate times.
Yep. Hey, your Geist is to you what Changeling is to me.
Yeah.
I have tried on 4 separate occasions to get a Changeling game off the ground and fucking blew it every time.
I'm always at the
cursed.
Geist game.
You are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe
He's
you're
the-
the problem.
He's the he's the
You
only
guys-
concurrent
you're
character.
I'm the most important. So when it rebooted, I was the most important.
So when it reboots,
Oh, yeah.
it's almost like those
Yeah.
like a B movie series. You're just this actor who keeps aging, and then you keep showing up as they just get worse with their attempts.
That's pretty great.
Yep.
As each attempt is just trying to redo what the first one did, and then try to get it going,
I'm
and then it
always
just
there.
drops.
Fuck yeah, man.
Always there.
That could be a lot of fun. The supernatural stuff always gets difficult because it adds multiple new layers of like power and stuff on it. When you're just running a Mortals game, it's easy because you can just make it whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
But when all of a sudden it's like, well, now all the characters can also do all this spooky ooky shit, you gotta have spooky shit to counteract their shit. And it has to have substance. It can't just be like something you're making up. It has to be, well, I'm actually pulling from this and this. And adding all those subsystems makes it really difficult.
Yeah.
I like Mortals a lot more. I feel like I like Mortals World of Darkness more than I like Delta Green, or like Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. Dice pools are fun. Combat's a little easier.
Yeah. It's pretty quick.
It's quick and easy. Dots on dots.
There's a lot more car accidents in World of Darkness.
Tons of fucking car accidents.
That's what I've experienced.
Yeah.
That's true.
I love that there's rules for using cars as weapons. What can I say?
I love there's rules for being ejected out of 2 different cars in the same session.
Yeah, there was a lot of car accidents that session. I remember that. That was a pretty big scene.
Yeah.
A lot of people died in the aforementioned car accidents.
And all it was, hey, can you drive? Guess not.
Yeah,
I was there.
you were there.
I
That
was
was at your place after. That was at your place up by where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, that fucking Taco Bell I actually wanted to ask, was it busy when we were hitting it?
Yeah.
Like, was it a pretty busy place?
We would always go there. That was the only place available when we played D&D a long time ago.
Yeah. I remember hitting that place, but
It's
like,
always been busy.
it still is because I live right by that now,
Yeah.
and it is. Oh my fucking god! It is actually
It's like a World of Warcraft. I mean, it's like a Warcraft 3 gold mine.
Yeah,
All the little, just bam.
it really fucking is. I'll get in each
Making
other's
money.
way. I'll run into each other and
Yep.
shit. It's awful. I don't know what the hell is. Patrick says that he goes to another Taco Bell clear across town because by the time he gets there, gets food and gets back, it's still faster than going to the one literally right across the street from us.
Most of those are busy anyways, unless you find a weird one that just doesn't have much people
The
around
ones
it.
around here just tell you they don't have food. You drive
Every
up
time
and they're
he
like,
goes-
wait, you don't have anything.
I don't know what he gets,
Yeah.
but whenever he goes, he always doesn't get his food.
It was hilarious. One night I
So
went.
weird.
One night I went and got food, and I was supposed to go get food for Emily and I. And then I
remember
rolled
this
up, and they're like, "Just let you know, there's a limit of 5 items per order." I was like, "Okay, can I just get 2 boxes then?" And then
No.
she's like, "Let me reiterate, sir, that is 5 items per order. We can't make any boxes at the moment.
Oh, like literally,
Like, you have to-
individual items.
You want
yeah.
4 tacos and a drink? That's it."
Wow.
Yeah.
And you might not even get 4 tacos. They're running out of stuff constantly.
Yeah, I thought that.
I was like, "Can I get this?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"No, we don't have that." I'm like, "Geez, this is
yeah,
bad."
he had like
Yeah.
10 things he said. He's like,
I left. I'm like, "Okay," and I drove to a different Taco Bell, completely
that
across.
was true.
And then they're like, they also were out of their main thing that they were selling.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say, at least for that first Taco Bell, like the Taco Bell that is by my house, is like that's not their fault because that place. I don't know why. Everyone and their fucking grandma is like, this is where I want to go. They're clogging up my fucking neighborhood. It's like you're feeding your shitty, dumb kids Taco Bell and making them shittier and dumber. That's like all you're doing. Like, why are you going here? You're a bad parent.
This is your argument just to get them out of the line.
So that you can buy your Taco Bell to get shittier and dumber.
No, it's not. Because I only go to the Dutch Brothers is there. Sometimes I'll go to the Taco Bell like in the morning.
Wow.
You know?
Wow. Oh, I see. So you're just setting up Taco Bell ad hominem for your argument to then be able to scapegoat and step to the side and be like, oh, no, I'm not talking about Taco Bell. I'm going to Dutch Brothers.
Yeah, correct.
I could just see 20 years.
A clever feint.
A Jimmy.
As it would be said in Burning Wheel.
I see.
Would it be?
Oh, yeah.
I see Jimmy driving up. He's downgraded his car. He has to crank it. He drives up.
I'm sorry, I have to crank it.
He said,
like it's a Model T.
He's going to Dutch Bros. He sees there's a slight line.
Yeah.
Like one
There's
person.
one car. There's one
He
car.
rolls it down as hard as he can. It's past it.
Yeah.
He's already rolled down. He keeps trying. Doesn't work. He keeps trying. His window's all the way down. And he looks outside. His neck is all the way outside the window. And he looks around like he's trying to get some fucks to pick up. And then he yells as hard as he can about, get out of here, where are your kids? And all of them are construction guys just on lunch. But he's got this thing ready and he can't change his script.
Yeah,
Especially because apparently I have to rewind up my car in order to drive away. So I might as well say my
Pee Wee
piece.
Herman or something.
What does me driving a fucking Model T have anything to do with your
Because it's
point?
funny to have roll down windows. Because if you just
Oh, you mean crank as in
crank the window.
non-power windows?
Yeah.
I thought you were literally talking about a
You're
car that
cranking
I
the
have
car.
to fucking
No.
I thought you meant like a car that you have to start with like a fucking you know what I mean? Yeah, like, I'm like, why?
1940s car.
Because you said,
Oh, no, I stole.
yeah,
kids.
that,
What is that random youngster doing with a 1950s car?
Yeah.
Yeah, you.
Yeah, you. That's literally because
I'm going to Dutch Bros. Okay,
get
sir.
out of the way. Because you literally said you downgrade your car, you have to crank it, and I'm like, to start it? Like,
Yeah, I see what you're saying. No, I said the window because the point
You never
is,
said window.
I said the window.
You
the
left window out.
the whole
fucking
point is
awesome.
that you keep trying to crank the window down when it's
Yeah.
already down. So it's
Yeah.
just this guy punching his car.
By the time you brought up window, hand cranked automobile was already well established.
It's this old timey Mickey Mouse car he drives up.
Yeah.
And he's like, it's just so bad for you and your kids. Get out of there. I'm going to Dutch Bros. I got some coupons. Throws it out.
Your kids are fucking stupid because you're feeding them dog food. I need coffee now.
Pulls out coupons. Super windy day. Flies out the window. But he obviously knows that. He's just a dick. So he's just hey, you want to go to a better place? Flies out the window. He just clearly litters.
I get out of my car.
Heavy littering.
I drag a mother of three from the car, and I just start just punching. I go down the line. I'm throwing rocks through windows. I'm tipping over car seats. Like I'm
going to Dutch Bros.
Mother of three what? Fur babies?
Yeah.
Little doggy stickers. All the dogs are in the back. They're going like
Dobsons, yeah.
Yeah. Because who else are you going to feed Taco Bell to? If you're a responsible adult,
To dogs.
you're only going to Taco Bell to buy
That's the
dogs.
catch. You go up and you're yelling at her that she's feeding her children dog food, and she's like, "Yeah, what's the problem?" And you're bam.
Yeah, I'm already
at
here.
That point, and then you look up and you see it's all dogs, and you know immediately you're in the wrong.
Well, no, I noticed the dogs
It's
first.
not gonna hold up in
I noticed
court.
the dogs first, but I start swinging anyway because it's the same. It's the same reason my Model T. I have to rewind it for like 15 minutes before I leave. I already walked all the way up to her fucking car.
That's true.
You know, I'm just like, well, I'm already here when in Rome, and I'm gonna cop an assault
Breaks
charge.
down right when you stop.
What if she gets over to her car door and releases the three dogs on you? What's your plan then?
No,
You gotta hand crank
people
your
who
car.
say fur babies do not have
not cars.
dogs that are bigger than like a fucking like
football.
But what if
Exactly
but what
in
if they
football.
wure? Wouldn't that be hilarious?
She just opens her door and I get
And it's
sick
just
by
three
Rottweilers.
Rottweilers.
Yeah, all right.
They're not very.
Hey, you know what? I have karmically, I would have that coming. If I just walk up to a drive-through and start just beating someone through the window of their car, and I start getting torn apart by 3 Rottweilers, that would be the universe instantly realigning in a moment. So
your clothes are being ripped apart. I'm trying to start my car.
In a Taco Bell drive-through, you're like in the median of the drive-through lane in the grass.
I like pulled off to the side like I'm protesting the Taco Bell.
No, you're literally getting like just beaten up right next to the sign where they advertise the Slurpees. Right there. And then your car, because you have to crank it, and you were so mad. You're on your way to Dutch Bros. You put it in neutral. It's rolling down the hill.
I love the idea that I have to crank the car. I can't just get in the car because it doesn't have a cab. Yeah. Because those old cars didn't have cabs. Yeah. So I'm kicking dogs off of me as they're trying to start the car. There's one just attached to my arm, and I'm trying to crank with the other fucking.
Is what it's not even you're wearing clothes to fit the era. You're literally what you're now, like a shorts and shirt,
and shorts and a sleep t-shirt.
Yeah. You're and then you get to the Dutch Bros and you're completely ripped apart.
Oh, I am
they're confused about the car.
I'm in shock.
But
I'm
the last thing you see
from blood loss.
The last thing you see as you're laying in the grass and everyone's honking around you is a Taco Bell employee taking a smoke break in the back who saw the whole thing.
I'm dying. I'm dying. I fall. I'm in the Dutch Brothers line, absolutely just dying from blood loss.
Oh, you made it!
I somehow made it. I somehow made it.
Oh, they're gonna ask you questions. You know how it is at Dutch Bros. They're gonna ask you how your day is.
Oh, how's your day?
That's the best part. Is that the punchline? Is that the punchline you get up there?
No, the punchline was going to be me passing out from blood loss and rolling out of the car, and I'm on my back. It's a clear blue sky, and I see the sun. I'm squinting against it. My light's fading, and I see a Taco Bell employee stand over me, block out the sun, and go, "We are only taking 5 items at a time for order this time." But no, I like that. Yeah, the Dutch was like, "How are you doing today?" And I'm like, the car's rolling because I'm not hitting the brake or anything. And I'm just fucking bleeding into my car.
Well, you get up and then you're like, "Okay, I want a large this," and then they go, "Sorry, we're out of those.
We're out of all of those things, dude. When they're out of soft top,
would you like to go to Taco Bell?"
You can go to Taco Bell.
No, that's what they say. They go, "You know what does have them? Right there.
Right there."
Sorry, at the moment, we're out of ice. Taco Bell has ice at the moment.
Taco Bell has ice.
Go to their drive-through, get their ice, come back to us, and we got you.
I look up, and you could see the blood streak where I've crawled, where I've dragged myself over to the Dutch Brothers.
This is what I imagine.
Yeah, man. I hate Taco Bell. Had bad experiences there. That's all I could say.
Because you order things without tomato and they come with tomato?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and also I got mauled by 3 Rottweilers.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
My Model T ran out of crank. I don't know what you call it.
It was a window first.
You said you're cranking the car.
I know, it's better.
He asked for clarification, and you stuck to it.
It's better that the joke has nothing to do with what's happening. It's just, why is there this old
What was
car?
the joke? Yeah. What did it start as?
I don't fucking know.
It's him yelling.
Things got wild after the cranky car.
It was just rolling down the window, but the car instantly changed to the different era.
But he did 100 years straight off the Ford assembly line.
And he's super used to it, but it's still a really old car. So yeah, he looks like he's used to the car, but everyone else is like, why the hell are you driving this thing?
I still like the mental image of me trying to start this Model T while also trying to fight off a pack of rippling muscle dogs, dogs that would absolutely be able to take limbs off. Oh, fuck me. Well, I don't think we're topping that. I also think we're at about time anyway for that. So
you're like 30 minutes before.
Yeah. What? Last episode was 30.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So yeah, we're good. We're good to start another one. We reset. Reset after.